Hello folks, it's time for another review with the integer. This time, we're doing a review for Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, the main campaign. And the gameplay you should be seeing is the starting gameplay, so you know, literally the first beginning part, so there should be no spoilers or anything like that. Let's dive right in, shall we, with the good, the bad, the ugly, and the score to finish off. I was playing this game on the PlayStation 4, and I completed all of the campaign as well as the side quests in just under 33 hours, as of the 30th of July of this year, 2019. Let's dive into the good, shall we? Okay, so first off, the 4K HDR visuals are pretty impressive in this, I'd say. I wasn't expecting the game of cell shading style to be able to look good or impressive or anything like that under 4K and HDR, but it looks really good, and I would say it's definitely worth your perusal, shall we say. As we turn on the spec sound there, quite loud. So yeah, if you have an HDR display, a 4K HDR display, that's proper. This is good for that. It looks really nice. In saying that though, there is a small downside on the PlayStation 4 Pro I'll get to when I get into the bad, but let's continue with the good. Combat mechanics is really nice in this game as well as the gun and loot mechanics. It's got an addictive quality, I'd say. And I should mention as well, I was playing this solo because of my borderline antisocial disorder. So yeah, or lack of friends, yeah, that are cool enough to play games like this, or I have trust issues. Anyway, so yeah, there is that. The loot mechanics, gun loot mechanics. There isn't a bazillion guns, guys. It's literally like, it's probably about 1,000 or so variations, which is really impressive still. Really impressive, but it's not like a zillion or a gazillion or a million. Not in Borderlands 1 anyway. So yeah. The visual feedback for quests is really good in this game as well, despite the fact that they are quite... You've probably got about 4 or 5 different quest types in this game. So literally, fetch quests, obviously, kill quests, turn on quests, and find quests. That's pretty much the variety of all of them. There is something like 120 missions in this game, including side stuff. So as you can imagine, good visual feedback and making changes to the world is important, so that you don't feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again, even if you are doing the same thing over and over again. Or giving you obviously a chance to test out your new weapons and stuff, but it helps to have good visual feedback. Like you're making changes to the world that you can see literally, which is nice. The final good thing is really the characters, the dialogue, the world, the lore. It's fun and funny, and you're going to meet some characters in the game that you may treasure for the rest of your life, depending on how cool or sad your life is, I don't know. And that could be many meanings. But yeah, some really cool characters and dialogue in the world, and there's full lore there. So that's really nice as well. I just realized the background music I've got playing here is Borderlands 2, so that's going to get removed. Damn it! I searched for Borderlands theme and everything is Borderlands 2, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 2. No one cares about Borderlands 1 anymore. I don't know. Alright, next up, the bad. Okay, so the bad things. First bad thing is the same thing I was talking about the visuals looking really good in the HDR and that, as I'm going to click here and do some things to make sure that this thing's set up. One of the problems is that you have some tearing on PlayStation 4, screen tearing. It goes from PlayStation 4 Pro, I should mention as well. It goes from the top of the screen to the bottom. It's kind of the thing you get when you don't have VSync and you're having screen tearing issue. It's noticeable, but not a big... It wasn't a big deal in terms of it didn't spoil my enjoyment or anything, but I did notice it, so I have to mention it, and it has to go in the bad. The other bad thing is I think the game could use more voice actor in it. There's a lot of text reading, and they're not voiced. And sometimes they're voiced, but sometimes they're not. So you'll read a thing, and then you'll accept a thing, and then they read the same thing. They speak out the same thing you just bloody read. So yeah, there's that. On top of that, because you don't know when they're going to speak and when they're not, and they always speak to you for almost like a filter radio system type thing. It's always kind of like they're talking to you through like one of these here, you know, kind of thing. So you never know when to shut up or not, because it's not really clear, because not everything's got dialogue. So yeah, over and out there. But yeah, it's a problem. It's not major, but it is a thing. So yeah, those two things, the audio is an issue. And then the final thing in the bad category is the quest variety. Really, obviously, the questing, like I said, is those 4 or 5 mixes of the same things. You know, which is fetch, find, kill, turn on, or off, or destroy, and that's literally it. Not a major problem, because there's the game loop, the game mechanics, and the game loop, and the find and loot thing, and the impressive nature of all of the randomness of the guns. All that does die down once you hit about 15 hours or so. In terms of variety, you got to get a lot of the same thing. But overall, the whole mixture of the thing really mitigates that issue. But it is worth mentioning that, you know, you are going to be doing a lot of the same kind of thing, but with good visual feedback in the world for doing it. But it is going to be a thing, and you will revisit 1 or 2 places here and there because of it, which leads me nicely into the ugly. The ugly category of things is the reuse of areas, as I said. But what makes it ugly is if you are going back to areas and you don't have that fast travel unlocked, or your loot is full every minute, and be it whether OCD or management or whatever, you're going to be filled up a lot. Inventory's going to be full a lot, and it's going to sometimes be a slightly annoying thing, because you just want to go and shoot things, and instead you've got to fiddle around with your inventory and look at your sexy guns. But it's definitely an ugly thing. It can, when you've got that combination of, oh, I've got to go back here again, oh, I've got to walk all the way there again, and my loot is full, and there's nowhere to sell shit. It's definitely the worst part of it in that way. And then the number one ugly thing, though, the number one of all of the things in life in the game, I would say, is the collision system. The collision system is very iffy at times, and when you're trying to jump across things, if it kicks in that you're meant to slide down a hill or a cliff top or whatever, the jump button no longer works at that point. So sometimes that is very iffy, and you can potentially get stuck in places, which we had a few instances where we almost got stuck. I don't think we ever got game logs. We had to load the game or anything like that. But yeah, it's a thing. The collision's dodgy, and it sometimes gets you dropped or, you know, killed. So it's definitely a thing I have to put in the ugly. But in saying all of that, though, this game was really fun overall. So let's give it a big, fat, dirty score, shall we? For Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, main campaign is a
9.5 out of 10.
I really enjoyed the freaking game. So that's my rating for it. Almost perfect. As perfect as the perfect thing can be. And it could easily deviate into a 10. I wouldn't mind mistakenly saying it's a 10 out of 10 rather than 9.5. It's very close, really. I pretty much played it straight without playing anything else really in between after a good period, because I just wanted to kind of like get more. I forgot to mention this as well, but get more stuff on my abilities. How could I forget the abilities part? I mean, that's a thing to add to the good as well, right? The abilities and leveling the RPG elements. So we add that into there as well. I'm going to type that now. You're going to probably hear me typing it now. RPG elements and abilities is another good thing. You'll want to level those up, especially if you're playing with buddies or strangers. Those abilities are going to be helpful to you and your teammates. So that's great, and it's definitely, I think this game is the game that started a lot of things that we're used to now, or that people enjoy, like your Destinies and what have you, and even some degree maybe your MOBAs and what have you, in terms of the co-op element and how it's done. So I think that's, I could be wrong, but that's what I think. So yeah, Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, main campaign, and it's and all of the side missions therein, just under 33 hours. Excellent fun. 9.5 out of 10. I'll be checking out the DLCs as well. I guess we'll give those a review as well individually. There's 4 DLCs. The first one we'll be doing, I think, is the Zom one. There's some Zom one, I think. What was it called? The Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, I think, is the first one. Which did him in order of release, which I think is that one. Then Smad Mox's Underdome Riot, which I think is more of a kind of an arcade mode thing. Then we've got the Secret Army of General Knox. I think it's pronounced Knox because there's a K in the front. It's usually silent. But it could be General Cox for all we know. Gee. And then Claptrap's New Robot Revolution. Viva Revolution! So we have all of those, and then we'll give all of those reviews. And that should be probably all together about another 20 hours of gameplay. But yeah, overall as a package as well, content-wise, as long as you don't mind that loop and that doing those same 5 things as far as quest types, and you keep experimenting with all your different weapons, or even just play with some people, that might help as well, then you will enjoy it. If you don't like first-person shooters or RPG games, RPG elements, potentially spongy enemies, because if they're like much higher level than you, you're going to get whacked. It's a game also as well, mechanics wise, where if you don't use the right weapon for the right thing, you will get hurt, but if you use the right weapon for the right thing, it makes a huge difference, and that's great, I think, because it adds a little bit of difficulty. The game can be super easy or super hard, depending on how much side things you do to level yourself up, what you choose to upgrade in your skill trees and stuff, and what approach you take with the enemies that you face. You know, there's a weapon for every enemy. It's kind of like a chess game in that way. If you pick the right weapons, you know, and there's different types of weapon types, obviously, class of weapons. I think it's like 5 or 6. Pick the right type for the right thing. You pick an enemy's yin or yang, and it will work for you. You don't, it's going to be more spongy than it's meant to be. You know, it does have an element of things like shields and stuff like that. So that's a thing, and it's definitely a mechanic. And if you use it to your advantage, you'll enjoy it. If you don't, you'll get frustrated maybe. But I enjoyed it. I figured out what worked for what, and it was good times. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching as ever. Thanks for your support. If you liked this review, want to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, piss off somewhere else. And leave a comment below as well. Do you agree? Think it's too high? Too low? Should it be 11 out of 10? Needs more water? I don't know. Let me know. And I will catch you in the next gameplay thingy-majiggy. There's so much things for you guys to watch on there while the channel's still there. I'm gonna get to follow on multiple platforms talking about that as well, because we already got some fake-ass, dumbass, hate speech bullshit from YouTube strike thing. So if YouTube freaks out or decides to target us for whatever reason, the channel could be gone in a hot instance, or it could be banned for weeks from uploading or some crap. So make sure you follow on the Twitter, on the Discord, the Facebook, at least one other platform, so I can make sure that I can communicate with you guys if you so care to be communicated with. If any bullshit happens, we can come together, cause a bit of a storm, or continue somewhere else. And I'll catch you, as I said, next time. Integer.
Out.